All right, Jerosai. Good morning. Let's begin. Today's daf. We have a beautiful daf ahead of us today. Today's daf is Lamed Dalid 34. We are picking up. On the bottom of Lamed Gimel Amid Beis. Reb Shimon Omer Chayiv. So we'll say it's 5 lines for the bottom. Our shir this morning is sponsored by Milt and Melanie Gertner in honor of their son Ari's graduation from University of Maryland and the beginning of his journey to Eretz Yisrael. Where's Milt? Baruch Hashem, Ari has a one-way ticket to Eretz Yisrael, where the journey is going to lead him in Eretz Hashem. Only time will tell, but halavai should just be a journey that engenders incredible nachas for his parents and for his community. Mazel tov, mazel tov. All right, I will say, let's begin. A lot to focus on this morning. So we'll say, so Reb Shimon Omer. So remember, we're speaking about. I don't have to remember. Of course you remember. You've been sitting on the edge of your seat since the shir ended yesterday, wondering where all of this is going to go with Shevuos Ha'idus and Shevuos Ha'pikadon. So we'll say, so remember again, we discussed yesterday the idea that Shevuos Ha'idus, that ultimately, again, remember, Shevuos Ha'idus refers to the fact that I go over to two people, I say, testimony on my behalf regarding matter A, whatever it might be. They go ahead and they swear they do not. In the event, ultimately, again, that they are lying, that's called, again, they're in violation of Shevuos Ha'idus. So we established yesterday that one is only chayiv for Shevuos Ha'idus if one swears regarding monetary matters. So if one swears regarding monetary matters, so we're trying to learn out, or we're trying to figure out where do we know that from. So Reb Shimon Omer, chayiv kan v'chayiv bepikadon. Actually, differently. Reb Shimon Omer chayiv kan v'chayiv bepikadon. Rabbi say it uses the word chayiv ultimately here by Shevuos Ha'idus and by pikadon. Just like by pikadon, so one is only chayiv in the case of tiyas mamon. Afkan inu medaber ela b'tiyas mamon. So by Shevuos Ha'idus, one is only chayiv ultimately again if I am adjuring people based on a monetary claim. Va'od kavachomer. Furthermore, there's a kavachomer. We'll say, what's the kavachomer? So ma pikadon she'asabal nashim kanashim krovim kirechokim psulim kiksherim. When it comes to Shevuos Ha'pikadon, we'll see, remember, we haven't spoken about Shevuos Ha'pikadon yet. That's going to be our next set of Mishnayos. But Shevuos Ha'pikadon means I entrust something to someone. I say, Ruvain, can you go ahead and you watch this item for me? I then come back. Say, Ruvain, I'd like my item back. Ruvain says, don't know what you're talking about. I could go ahead and administer a shvuah. That's called the Shevuos Ha'pikadon. So the Gemara, so Reb Shimon is making a comparison over here between Shevuos Ha'idus and Shevuos Ha'pikadon. When it comes to pikadon, the Rabbi say there is no distinction between men and women, krovim and rechokim, psulim and ksherim, v'chayiv al kol achas v'achas, top of lamed dalid, bifnei bezin v'shlo bifnei bezin. And Rabbi say no matter how many shvuos one took, one is chayiv for each and every one of those shvuos, whether they were taken in front of bezin or outside of bezin. And yet, despite all of this, the only time one is chayiv for a claim of Shevuos Ha'pikadon, Rabbi say, is in a case of Teviyas Mamon where there's a monetary claim. Then Eidos, Rabbi say, when it comes to Shevuos Ha'idus, third line down Lamed Aleph, Shelo Asaba Nashim Kanashim. Rabbi say, when it comes to Shevuos Ha'idus, men and women are not alike. Namely, Shevuos Ha'idus only applies to men, doesn't apply to women because it's a din in Eidos. Krovim kirechokim, Lo Asaba Nashim Kanashim. Krovim kirechokim. Furthermore, I will say, krovim relatives are not eligible for Shevuos Ha'idus. Psulim kiksherim. So again, remember, psulim are not eligible for Shevuos Ha'idus. Ve'eno chayev ela al achas bifnei bezin, and one is only chayev ultimately again for a shvuah that one took in front of bezin. Furthermore, again, even if one took repeated shvuahs in bezin, one is only chayev once. Eino din shelo yehi medaber ela b'tviyas mamon. The Rebbe say goes without saying that it should only govern, or should only apply in a case where ultimately again there is a monetary claim, a teviyas mamon. To which the Gemara says, Mal pikadon shekein lo asa ba mushba kin lishba. But one second, we'll say, so what the Gemara is trying to suggest over here is that pikadon is a quote unquote laxer shvuah. Why is it a laxer shvuah? Because it applies to more people. So if by pikadon, which is quote unquote laxer, only applies to a case of tviyas mamon, Shevuos Ha'idus, which is stricter, should certainly only apply to tviyas mamon as well. To which the Gemara says, one second, when it comes to pikadon, shekein lo asaba mushba kin nishba. Rabbi say the halachos between one who swears on his own versus one who is adjured by others is not the same. Umezid kishogeg. Furthermore, again, Rabbi say, if you take a false Shevuos Ha'pikadon b'mezid, you are not chayiv a carbon like you would be if you did it b'shogeg. So tomar be'edus shekin asaba mushba kinishba mezid kishogeg. When it comes to Shevuos Ha'edus, Rabosai, whether you go ahead and take the Shevuah on your own or you are adjured by someone else, the halacha is the same. Furthermore, by Shevuos Ha'edus, Rabosai, you bring a carbon, whether you intentionally or unintentionally swore falsely. Therefore, again, Talmud Lomar, Techeta, Techeta. Therefore, Rabosai, ultimately, again, we have the Gzeir Shava of Techeta, Techeta, between Shevuos Ha'edus and Shevuos Ha'pikadon, the Gzeir Shava. Ne'emar kan Techeta, v'ne'emar lahalon Techeta. Rabosai, it says over here, ultimately, again, by Shevuos Ha'edus, he used Lashon of Techeta. It says by Shevuos Ha'pikadon, Techeta, mar lahalon ino medaber ela b'tvias mamon, af kan ino medaber ela b'tvias mamon. So therefore, Rabosai, even though it seems to be somewhat alluring to try to learn from a Kal V'chomer, the Kal V'chomer doesn't quite work, but not to fear, we have a Gzeir Shava. We have a Gzeir Shava, ultimately, Techeta, between Shevuos Ha'edus and Shevuos Ha'pikadon, to teach me that just as Shevuos Ha'pikadon is only B'tvias Mamon, only a Shevuos Ha'pikadon is only generated when there is a monetary claim, so to Shevuos Ha'edus is only generated when there is a monetary claim. So Rabbi say, therefore, again, this goes back to our Mishnah yesterday. That's why, if I go over to Reuven and Shimon and say, Reuven and Shimon, you guys know that I am a Kohen. You know testimony to attest to the fact that I'm a Kohen. And what happens? They say, we have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. I say, swear that you have no knowledge that I am a Kohen, and they swear, and it turns out that they're swearing falsely. Rabbi say, that is not a Shevuos Ha'edus. Even though, again, Howard pointed this out at the end of the shir, Tosas points this out in yesterday's daf as well. There are financial components to being a Kohen, no question. You get Truma, just like by the Sota case, there are financial components as well. That's not the thrust of the testimony. The thrust of the testimony is a status testimony. So we see again, the Eidim will not be chayiv for Shevuos Ha'edus. Why? Because there's no Tvias Mamon. We'll say furthermore, there's another piece over here. Tvias Mamon means I'm claiming money from someone else. Even though there are financial ramifications by being a Kohen, there is no Tvias Mamon against someone. There's no financial claim. So how do we know? So ultimately, again, according to Reb Shimon, how do we see that Shevuos Ha'edus only applies in a case of Tvias Mamon? There is a financial claim against someone else. Techeta, a Gzeir Shava, ultimately, again, between Shevuos Ha'pikadon and Shevuos Ha'edus. Beautiful. Maskif Rabba. So we'll say, we're right across from Tosos DE. Maskif Rabba Bar Ula. Sar Bar Ula raised the kasha. Bitu Yochichu. So we'll say, what about the right? Or as Yochichu Shein Owen. So we'll say, remember again, we have another possibility. The Somebody corrected me after yesterday's shir. I said it wrong. It's I apologize about that. I'm sorry. I'm not from Baltimore, so I'm sorry about that. But so I'll say, so again, says Rabbi Bar Ula, what about the right? What about the Gzeir Shava from Bitu Yochichu Shehein Owen V'yesh Iman Shavua? So we'll say again, you have the in both contexts. Yesh Iman Shavua V'ein Iman Kohen. Umedabrim shelo b'tvias mamon. So I'll say ultimately again we have the Gzeir Shava ultimately again from and remember Rabbi say is the Gzeir Shava between Shevuos Ha'edus and Shevuos Bitui. Shevuos Bitui Rabbi say is a declarative Shevuah. Now remember, you can make a declarative Shevuah about whatever you want, but it need not be what? It need not be based on any type of monetary claim. So we have a connection between Shevuos Ha'edus and Shevuos Bitui. So why don't I say based on that Gzeir Shava of then halacha l'maisa again, you see that Shevuos Ha'edus applies even in a case where there's not a monetary claim. So he says, Bitui Yochichu Shehein Owen. First of all, there's a Gzeir Shava of from Shevuos Bitui to Shevuos Ha'edus. V'yesh iman Shvuah, there's a case of a Shvuah. V'ein iman Kohen, there's no Kohen necessary. I will say that's to exclude the case of Sota. Umedabrim shlo b'tvias mamon. And about in the case of Shevuos Bitui, again, there need not be any type of monetary claim. To which the Gemara says, Mistabra mipikadon havilei l'melaf shekein techeta mitecheta. To which the Gemara says, no, we would rather learn out Shevuos Ha'edus from Shevuos Pikadon, since you have the Gzeir Shava of techeta. Says Gemara, Adarabba, mi bitui havilei l'melaf shekein chatos michatos. I don't understand. Why don't you make a Gzera Shava ultimately from Shevuos Bitui? Because Rabbi say the word Chatas applies by Bitui. The word Chatas applies ultimately again in Shevuos Eidos. Make the Gzera Shava from there. To which the Gemara says, Ella mistabra mi pikadon havei lemelach. So Rabbi says the Gemara something amazing. The Gemara says, rather it would appear that Lemaisa, we should learn it out from Pikadon. Why? Rabbi said, now the Gemara is going to discuss the various ways in which Shevuos HaPikadon is or I should say, which Shevuos HaIdus is comparable to Shevuos HaPikadon. Shekain, Chet, Bemezid, Tave V'Kafrei, Va'avre. Rabbi says, so what does this mean? Take a look at Rashi. Rabbi says, it's in the short lines of Rashi, about 4 lines in. Shekain Chet, Techata mitechata. Number 1, you have a Gzera Shava of Chet, right? You have the same words. Ubishtem Chayiv ala Mezid. Rabbi say both by Shevuos HaPikadon and Shevuos HaIdus. You're Chayiv even if you intentionally made a false Shvuah. Aval Bitu Eksive V'Nelam. Tave V'Kafrei. Both Rabbi say Shevuos HaIdus and Shevuos HaPikadon have a tviyah, somebody making a claim, and somebody denying the claim. Va'avrei. And ultimately, again, both of them, I will say, are past tense Shevuos, are Shevuos on the past, whereas Shevuos HaPikadon primarily, ultimately, is something lahaba, something for the future. Adi Rabba, just the opposite. Mi bitoy habelei lamelaf. I would say learn out Shevuos HaIdus from bitoy. Why Rabba say shekein chatos? They both have the word chet. Sheyarda. Look at Rashi just a moment. He says, "Usimin edus ubitoy shnei mechatos u'olav yored." We'll say first of all again, both of them have achatos. Both of them are subject to olav v'yored. L'chomesh. Both of them could have the potential for a penalty fifth. To which the Gemara says, "You're right, but hanach nefishin." Both at the end of the day, the comparisons between Shevuos HaIdus and Shevuos HaPikadon are greater than Shevuos HaIdus and Shevuos Bitui. And therefore, again, halacha l'maisa, it appears that the comparison between Shevuos HaIdus and Shevuos HaPikadon win out. And therefore, again, for our purposes, what this teaches us is just as Shevuos HaPikadon must have a tvias mamon, must have a monetary claim, so to what? So to again, Shevuos HaIdus must have a monetary claim as well. Fine. Rabbi Akiva says, Vayok yesham la'achas me'ilas. Well, so remember again, this is just going back over the statements from yesterday's daf. We had, remember, Rabbi Eliezer, who we just saw before, Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Shimon. Each of them learning out in different ways that Shevuos HaIdus, that remember the oath regarding testimony, one is only in violation of that if there was a tvias mamon, if this is a monetary matter at hand. So where does Rabbi Akiva learn out from? Rabbi Akiva Omer, V'haya ki yesham la'achas me'ila. So remember the pasuk says, it will be if one will be liable for one of these things. What does this mean? Yesh me'ila shu chayiv, v'yesh me'ila shu pater. There are some of these things for which one is chayiv, and some of these things for which one is pater. In other words, certain shvuas, certain times which you are chayiv for the Shevuos HaIdus, certain times which you are pater for the Shevuos HaIdus. Haketzad, tavo mamon chayiv. We'll say if the Shevuos HaIdus, if ultimately the claim was a monetary claim, and the witnesses deny any knowledge, and then they are lying, they will be chayiv. However, tavo davar acher. But I will say at the end of the day, if the claim was for something else, then pater. Then ultimately, again, the edim will be pater. So it says, I don't understand. Eifachana. Why don't you switch it around? Why don't you say at the end of the day, again, if the claim was for money, then halacha l'maisa, again, they should be pater, but if it's for something else, ultimately they should be chayiv. Rabbi Akiva, Owen de Rabbi Lazar Samech. Rabbi Akiva, I will say, ultimately, again, holds like the Owen of Rabbi Elazar. So the Gemara says, "My ben Ayo, ben Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Akiva." So I'll say, if Rabbi Akiva holds like the Owen, right? If he holds the Gzera Shava of between Shevuos HaPikadon and Shevuos HaIdus, then what's the chilik between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva? So here's the nafkamina, mashbia ede karka. So ultimately, again, what about if the claim was for karka? What if at the end of the day, again, I go and I tell witnesses that they know testimony regarding karka that is owed to me, they deny knowledge of that claim, and it turns out that they're lying. Is there liability for such a case or not? L'Rabbi Eliezer chayavin, l'Rabbi Akiva p'turin. According to Rabbi Elazar, they'll be chayiv. According to Rabbi Akiva, they'll be pater. Rabbi Yochanan Damar Hasam Mashbia Ede Karka Afil Rabbi Elazar P'turin. Rabbi Elazar, ultimately again, according to Rabbi Yochanan, who says that if one goes ahead and administers an oath about Ede Karka, even according to Rabbi Elazar at their pater, Hacha Ma'ika ben Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Kiva. What will he say is the distinction between the Shitos, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Akiva? Ikebenayu Eidi Knas. Rabbi said nafkamina ultimately between them would be in a case of Eidi Knas, like we saw yesterday, whether or not, again, one is chayiv. If I go to witnesses and I say, witnesses, Reuven, Shimon, you know testimony regarding a knas that Levi owes to me. And what? They deny the claim. Is the is the denial of that claim a violation of a Shevuos ha'edos or not? So the Gemara posits right now that is the source of a machlokes in Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Yosef Lili Omer. Rabbi Yosef Lili has a different sheet. Rabbi saying, what does he say? Omer v'hu eid o ra'a o yada. The pasuk says, and he is a witness, and he saw or he knew. Be'edus. So what the Torah is referring over here again to Shevuos ha'edos. Witnesses see testimony, and again they fail to go ahead and testify about it regarding something they saw or something they knew. Be'edus hamiskayemes b're'iyah below yediyah, or b'yediyah below re'iyah. We'll say this refers ultimately again to testimony that could be upheld with re'iyah below yediyah, with seeing something without knowing it, or with knowing it and without seeing it. Akasim medaber. Remember we saw this yesterday. The Gemara spoke about examples of yediyah below re'iyah, re'iyah below yediyah. So this is amazing. This is amazing. So say that Rabbi Yossi holds that there is the possibility ultimately again for eidav samiskemas bere'iyah below yediyah ubiyediyah below re'iyah. So the Gemara says, Rav Papa says to Abaye, it must be that Rabbi Yossi Haglili doesn't hold of Rav Acha. They both say, now watch this. Take a look at Rashi for just a moment. It's almost right across in Rashi. Ve'imar Rabbi Yossi Haglili, da'amar ein eidos mischayames ella bere'iyah v'yediyah chutz me'eidos mamo. So both say, remember again, Rabbi Yossi Haglili under normal circumstances says as follows. Under normal circumstances, for eidos to be upheld, so this is actually quite interesting, because this gets into the fascinating discussion about circumstantial testimony. So what Rabbi Yossi Haglili says the following: under normal circumstances, in order for eidos to be upheld, you have to have yediyah and re'iyah, which means what Rabbi say? I have to, number one, see it. I have to see the manifest, and what? I have to understand what it is that is happening here. Under normal circumstances, if I have re'iyah below yediyah, I saw something but I don't know what I'm seeing, or I know something but I didn't see it, so that's not good eidos. The exception to this, according to Rabbi Yossi Haglili, would be an eidos mamon. Eidos mamon might be the exception to this. But again, under normal circumstances, for eidos to be bona fide eidos, there has to be yediyah im re'iyah, re'iyah im yediyah. So the Gemara says, oh, you see, Rabbi Yossi Haglili doesn't hold the Rav Acha. Now why? What does Rav Acha hold? Now we're going to see in just a moment, but look at Rashi. Rashi says, let's say Rabbi Acha, didoin u'mechayev bididami. We'll say Rabbi Acha, as we're going to see, holds that one can give testimony based on circumstantial evidence. They're both saying, what's the case of Rabbi Acha? Listen to this. Get ready. Desanya, Rabbi Acha, this is really fascinating. Gamal ha'ocher ben ha'gamalim. They both say, if you have a camel that is kicking between the camels. Now, what does this mean? Take a look at Rashi. Rashi says over here, ha'ocher boit beraglov. It's kicking with its feet. Rashi, v'li nirala, kishebal zakik lenekeva, hu nilcham umake beraglov gimolim shesvivosav. So we'll say, apparently, you do not want to be around camels when they're mating. Why? Because apparently the male camel kicks when it mates. It doesn't kick its mate. It kicks the camels around it. So we'll say, so watch this. So we'll say, if I know that there was a camel that was mating in the, I don't know what you call it, the herd. Is it a herd of camels? Don't shake your head, yes. You know any more than I know. Right? Come on. Oh, yes, it's called a herd. Right. So again, a pack, right? A pack of camels, a flock, a group, a chevra. If there's a chevra of camels, right, and one of them is mating, what happens? V'nimtza gamal harag bitzido. Now, saying, here's the chap. I know that camel A was mating. And what happens? V'nimtza gamal harag bitzido. And I will say, what happens? I go ahead and I find a dead camel by the side of the one that was mating. So we'll say, so again, what's happening over here is, so I know camel A was mating, and then after it finishes mating, I know that there's a dead camel by its side. So we'll say, so now, what's the issue over here? Here's what I know. Camel A was mating. B, camels when they mate, kick. And C, there's a camel that's dead by the side of camel A that was killed by blunt trauma, we'll call it, right? Blunt force. It was killed by being kicked. So I will say, but what don't I know? What don't I know? Or what piece of information is missing? I didn't see camel A kill camel B. That's the one part that I did not see. So it says the Gemara, excuse me, Biyadua Shezeh Go. So Rabacha says we know for sure that it's camel A who killed. We'll call him camel B, right? Camel B. So both say it's clear that Rabbi Yossi Aglili doesn't hold the Ravacha, because Rabbi Yossi Aglili, under normal circumstances, says that in order for Eidos to be valid Eidos, there has to be Yediyah and Re'iyah. According to Rabbi Achar, say it's clear that what? That even if you have Yediyah without what? Without Re'iyah, the Eidos is still good. And Rabbi Yossi Aglili clearly doesn't subscribe to this, because the truth is, you could even if you have like Rabbi Achar, you could even apply it to Dinei Nefashas cases. How so? Listen to this. Meshkachas like Reb Shimon Shatach. Listen to this. Desanya. Reb Shimon Shatach. Reb Shimon Shatach said the following. Erab ben Nechama. Yeah, I see no constellation. This is lashon of Shua. Erab ben Nechama. Imlo ra'isi echad sheratz achar chaveiro lechurva. I saw one running after his friend into, Rabbi say churva means into a desolate area. Meaning I saw him running with. I saw Ruvain chasing Shimon into an uninhabited area. That's the achar. Rabbi said, now, by the way, this is a ma'isa shahaya. This mamish happened. Shimon Shetach said, I saw Ruvain running after Shimon. He pursued Shimon into an uninhabited area. That's the achar of Shimon Shetach said, I ran after Ruvain. He was running after Shimon. And what happens by the time I finally catch up with Ruvain? What do I see? I see Shimon's on the ground dying. Ruvain's holding a knife, and there's blood all over the knife. Right? I said to Ruvain, Russia, Mihar Golazeh. Who killed Shimon? O Ani, O Ata. Right? There's only two possibilities as to who killed Shimon. Right? It's either me or it's you. And you're the one holding the bloody knife. But what can I do? I have no way to bring you to a court of law. Ultimately, again, the Torah says, based on the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses, person will be executed. Rather, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should go and exact judgments from here. Listen to how the Maisa ends. Amru lo zazu misham ad shenoshcho nachash umeis. Allah said they didn't move from there until what? Until a snake came along and bit Reuven and killed him. And yet Rabbi say, what do you see? Afilu teima islei dravacha. So we'll say, so here's what's amazing. So the Gemara says, so Rabbi say, first of all, the point the Gemara is making over here is, if you subscribe to the Shita of Ravacha, then what? Then it's possible now again, with one witness perhaps you couldn't do it. But Lamais again, with 2 witnesses, perhaps that would be enough to go ahead and convict Ruvain of murder, because Lamais again, it would be a case of what? It would be a case of Yediyah, even without Re'iyah. I'm sorry? Correct. So we have other technical issues over here, but the point the Gemara is making over here is you could construct a case, or you could find someone accountable with just Yediyah without Re'iyah. So says the Gemara, so we'll say, even if you subscribe to the Shita of Ravacha, so you could have a case of Yediyah without Riyah. Fine, I can understand you can have Yediyah without Riyah. So it says, Ela Riyah below Yediyah, Heichem Mishkachasa. But I will say, how can you ever have a case of Yediyah without Riyah? After all, Milo by Meida, Imovid Kochavim Harag, or Yisahar, I will say, you'd have to know, how can you ever have a case of Riyah without Yediyah? I will say, you can never have Eidus without Yediyah. Because if you don't have Yediyah, then what? You don't know if the person who was killed was a Jew or a Gentile. Im Adam Treifa Harag or Shalim Harag. Ultimately, again, whether he killed a healthy person or he killed a Treifa, Shmamina Kasar Yossi Agalili. So we'll say, so fine. So we'll say, just as an aside, because the Gemara is now going to jump to a new topic, you should just know, we do not subscribe to the Shita of Ravacha. Right? They will say we do not accept this premise. So, for example, even in the case of the camel, if Lamaisa, again, if Ruvain's camel was mating, and my camel happened to be right next to Ruvain's camel, and when Ruvain's camel finishes mating, my camel is dead by the side, they will say that would not be enough to ultimately make Ruvain chayiv to pay me for the damages of my camel, because we do not subscribe to the sheet of Rav Acha that circumstantial evidence is. And again, this is the case of circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence is not enough to make you chayiv in dinei mamanis, and certainly not enough to what? To make you chayiv in dinei nefashos. Says the Gemara, Shma mina kasav Rabbi Yossi Halili mashpi idei knas pater. So we'll say what does come out from this is it appears that according to Rabbi Yossi Halili, he would hold that I will say if you go ahead and you adjure witnesses regarding a knas, and they lie regarding their knowledge about that testimony, that they should be chayiv. Because he says that they should be pater, I'm sorry. Because we'll say if you hold that they're chayiv, so I'm saying you come up with the case of yediyah below riyah, but riyah below yediyah, mi lo boy meida. I will say, but how can you ever have a case of ultimately again riyah below yediyah? There always has to be yediyah. Don't you have to know nachris bal bas yisrael bal? I will say this would assume the case of, let's say, the fine where a man violates a woman. You have to know, did he violate the Jewish woman or a non-Jewish woman? Besula baal, bu'ula baal. Did he violate the woman ultimately again who's a besula, who's a bu'ula? In other words, you can't have a case, I will say, of where you be chayiv for a knas without what? Without yediyah. It's fine. Yosef Rav Hamnuna coming to Rav Yehuda. The Yosef Rav Yehuda have coming by there. Let's listen to this case. So Rav Hamnuna was sitting before Rav Yehuda, and Rav Yehuda was pondering the following case. Mana minisicha bifnei ploni uploni. Let's listen to this. I say to Ruvain, I went ahead and I count. Minisicha literally means I counted out a mana to you in front of ploni uploni, in front of the witnesses. And what happens? The Eidim, we'll say Amad Beis, the Eidim ron osami bachutz. And the witnesses see me counting out a mana to Ruvain, but the witnesses are standing on the outside. Now, Rabbi will say, if you look at Rashi, Rashi says, "Ve'edim ro'an osami b'chutz, v'lo hikir hanitba b'hem," which also means what? Ruvain was unaware of the presence of the witnesses. So I claim now, Ruvain, I counted out a mana to you in the presence of witnesses. Ruvain was totally unaware of the witnesses. So I will say, what is the halacha in this case? So, bless you. So Rav Hamnuna. So Rav Hamnuna says, 1 second, v'hala matoe. So 1 second, before we know what the halacha is in this case, what's Ruvain's counterclaim? Meaning, I'm claiming that I counted out a mana to Ruvain in front of witnesses. So that's fine. But what is Ruvain claiming? So we'll say if Ruvain says what? So never happened. Then what? Huchsa kafran. Then Rabbi say it's clear that what? That he's a liar. Right? Why is it clear that he's a liar? Because you have witnesses. Because you have two witnesses that came to the contrary. I amar in shakli vididi shakli. So we'll say on the other hand, if Ruvain says, yes, Silber, you gave me a mana. You know whose money you gave me? You gave me my mana. I have lent you a mana, and you are paying me back that mana. Then ultimately, again, ki asu edim my havi. Then Rabbi say, even if witnesses come along and say, yes, we saw Silber, go ahead and give Reuven a money. But remember, this is the case of what? This will be a case of what? This will be a case of Re'iyah below Yediyah. They see it, they see me giving him a mana, but they have absolutely no idea about what the circumstances are of the conveyance of that mana. So Amarle Hamnuna at also. So we'll say Rabbi Yehuda says, remember again, Rabbi Yehuda says, Hamnuna, you are now permitted to enter into the base medrash. So we'll say apparently Rabbi Yehuda was testing Rav Hamnuna's halachic acumen. This was the entry exam, this was the fire to get into the base medrash. And this Hamnuna shkoyach, you may now come into the base medrash. We'll say, let's go back there. We'll say this is another riveting case. Here we go. Also listen to this case. I go over to Ruvain. I say, Ruvain, money, mini, silacha b'tzad amud zeh. Ruvain, I lent you $100 b'tzad amud zeh when we were standing on the side of this pillar. So what happens? Amarle, Ruvain says, lo avarti b'tzad amud zeh. I didn't pass by. Impossible. I was never there. I didn't pass by the pillar. Asu trei sadi was listening to this. Two witnesses come along. So say, Ruvain, you relieved yourself on the side of the pillar. So we'll say, so now what's the chap over here? Now, what are the witnesses testifying about? All the witnesses are doing is what Rabbi say. They're placing Ruvain at the side of the pillar. Remember, they're not saying anything. Right? I got it. Right? So correct. So remember again, they're not going ahead and saying anything about the loan. Right? All they're saying is as follows. I'm saying to Ruvain, I lent you $100 by the side of the pillar. What did Ruvain say? Right? I was never by the pillar. Witnesses come along and say, yes, you were by the pillar. You relieved yourself by the pillar. Again, all the witnesses are doing is placing him at the site of the pillar. Right? They're not saying anything ultimately again about the monetary claim. So says, what's the halacha? Listen to this. It's clear that Reuven is a liar. See, I will say one thing we know for sure. Reish Lakish is one thing I know for sure. I don't know anything about the money, but I do know that Reuven is a liar. Because at the end of the day, Reuven says he was never by the pillar, and now we know he was by the pillar. 1 second. Maskal Rav Nachman. You're judging this like a Persian. I will say that's an insult. Right? You're judging this like a Persian. And I will say that the idea over here is Persian law. We've seen examples of this in the past. Persian law sometimes was fixated on certain we'll see. Hadin de Parsahi. Mika Amar, so say that Mika Amar Me'olam. Did Reuven ever say, I never passed by this pillar ever? Did he ever use the word Me'olam? I never in my life set foot by the pillar. What Reuven was saying is, listen, you claim that you owed me, that you lent me money by the pillar on the 14th of Teves. I never passed by that pillar on the 14th of Teves. In other words, Reuven is not claiming that he's never had any interaction with the pillar in his life. What he's claiming is, you are claiming that you lent me money on a particular day by the pillar. I'm just telling you, by that day, I didn't pass by the pillar. I'm not talking about my relationship with the pillar the rest of my life. Just on this particular day in question, I only do with the pillar. So the Gemara Igdar was another version of this. And this is really very interesting. Both say there's an alternate version of this exchange. I say to Reuven, I lent you money by the side of the pillar. Oh, now this is different. Both say, what's different over here? What does Reuven claim in this case? I never ever passed by this pillar. Witnesses come along and say, what are you talking about? We saw you relieve yourself by this pillar. Right? What are you talking about that you never passed by? We saw you relieve yourself by the pillar. Rav Nachman Huchsa Kafrin. Rav Nachman said, you see, Reuven's not. Abba said this case is different. Why? Because in this case, what is Reuven saying? I never passed by. Me'olam. Never passed by. Rav Nachman says, he's a liar. So we'll listen to this. Rav says to Rav Nachman, no. We'll say, and this is very important. Kol milsa delo ramya alei de'inish avidla v'lavadaite. So Rava comes along and says he's not a liar. We'll say, why? Because anything that a person is not obligated to remember, he doesn't remember. I don't know what Rabbi say. What do we remember in life? Or what do we try to remember in life? Those things that are important. But we have difficulty remembering even those things that are important. I'll tell you, I remember there's a flu going on. My whole mishpacha is under the weather. I had to go to Rite Aid yesterday to pick up medicine for my kids. So the pharmacist asked me, what's your daughter's birthday? I was like a deer like in headlights. It was like, I thought they were going to call Child Protective Services. No. So I'm saying, what has to happen? So remember, again, good thing I called my wife. So understand, what the Gemara says is as follows. The Gemara says is as follows. That when there's information you have to remember, that's the information you remember. And we have a difficult time sometimes doing that. Inconsequential information that doesn't matter, people don't remember. Where I urinate, I will say generally, is an inconsequential piece of information. Therefore, again, when I see Reuven, I lent you money by the side of the pillar, and Reuven says, I never passed by that pillar, and witnesses come along and say, oh, you sure did pass by that pillar, you went ahead and you relieved yourself on that pillar. Reuven's not lying. I will say, it's quite possible that's what? He just didn't remember. But one second, how can you not remember? Because people don't remember inconsequential information. And therefore, again, it's not. And Rabbi say, by the way, this, if you'll notice, by the way, is indeed codified halacha l'maisa according to the Rambam. The Rambam says a person is not held accountable for what the halacha deems as inconsequential information. If it's inconsequential, then indeed one is not obligated to retain it. Therefore, in this case, when Reuven says, I never, even though he used the word me'olam, I never passed by the pillar, and witnesses come along and say, yes, you did, and you urinated by the pillar, Reuven is not called a liar. Why? Because they both say this is not deemed important enough information that Reuven should have to retain. Good. Weiter. Rabbi Shimon Omer chayiv kan v'chayiv b'pikadon machkoli ma'arav. Supposed to they used to laugh. Bless you. They used to laugh about Rabbi Shimon's drasha in Eretz Yisrael. My chucha. Right? I don't understand why do they laugh about it. So remember again, this is all the same topic. We're just trying to figure out that when it comes to Shevuos ha'idus, one is only chayiv ultimately again when there was a denial about a monetary claim, or I should say differently, when I was petitioning the witnesses to testify regarding a monetary claim on my behalf, but it was for something that was of a non-monetary nature, then there is no chiyuv of Shevuos ha'idus in those circumstances. So all we're seeing over here are all these different tanoim ultimately having differences of opinion as to where we learn it out from. But bottom line, everybody's in agreement, just the machlok is where we learn it out from. So they used to laugh about Reb Shimon's drush in Eretz Yisrael. My chuka, I don't say why is this so funny? What are they making fun of? Well, so when it comes to Pikadon, so Pikadon, remember again, we do make Mushab and Nishba. It's not the same if what? If you take the oath on your own versus if somebody else adjures you. Meizid Kishogeg. So Michti, Mushab and Piazza, Be'edus Reb Shimon Ale. So say, where does Reb Shimon know that even if you take a Shevuos ha'idus on your own, that you're going to be Chayiv, the Gomer be Pikadon. Because ultimately, again, he learns that from Pikadon. Pikadon nami Mushab and Piacherim. Nigbar me'edus. But one second, when it comes to Pikadon, Rabbi say, the case of Mushrim and Piachirim, that you could be adjured by others, we learned that out from Shevuos ha'idus. Umay chuka. So Rabbi say, what are they mocking? What are they making fun of? So maybe Reb Shimon learns that from a kavachomer. What's the kavachomer? Me'piachirim chayiv. If you could be adjured by others and you're chayiv, maybe atzma lo kol shekin. All the more so, again, you'll be chayiv if you take the oath on your own. Elachuka, rather what they were making fun of or disparaging was amazid kishogeg. I will say rather they were mocking the comparison between amazid and shogeg. Ditani mala pikadon shekin lo asaba mushba kinishba mazid kishogeg. When it comes to pikadon, I will say where Chazal didn't make, or the Torah didn't make mushba kinishba, where you go ahead and you take the oath on your own versus being adjured by others. Mazid kishogeg michti. Mezid gabe eidos minale. I will say, where do we know that even if you take a Shevuos ha'idus intent, even if b'mezid you took a false Shevuos ha'idus, how do we know that you're still chayiv? So the Gemara says minale deloksiv be v'nela, because also by Shevuos ha'idus it doesn't use the word v'nela. V'nela means the knowledge was obscured or hidden from me, which tells me that even if I intentionally take a false Shevuos ha'idus, I will still be chayiv. Still be chayiv a carbon. Hachinami lo ksiv be v'nelam. So to over here, I will say, it also doesn't say v'nelam. Amar lehu Rafuna umay chuka dilma meizid delav kishogi b'pikadon mi me'il Reb Shimon gamarle. I will say maybe ultimately again Reb Shimon learns out that meizid is not like shogig by pikadon from the case of me'ilah. V'hainu chuka, and they will say that's what they were making fun of. Ad the gamarle mi me'ilah. Before you learn it out from Me'ilah, Nigmar le Me'edus. Before you learn out Shevuos ha'pikadon from Me'ilah, why don't you learn it out from Me'edus? Mistabra Me'ilah havelei lamelach. They both say it makes more sense to learn it out from Me'ilah. Why? Shekein Me'ilah Me'ilah. Because they will say both Me'ilah as well as Shevuos ha'pikadon both have a lashon of Ma'al. Adrabah, I would say just the opposite. Me'edus havelei lamelach. No, you should learn out Shevuos ha'pikadon from Edus. Why? Shekein techeta mitecheta. Because we'll say exertion of techata mistabra me'ilah havilei lemeiliv. No, so you make more sense that you learn from me'ilah. Why? Shekain, I will say, because look at all the similarities they have. Shekain, me'ilah. Number one, again, they both have lashon of ma'al. Bakol. I will say, if you take a look at Rashi over here, Rashi says over here, Shnehem noagim b'chol Aval eidos eino noe elabiru yilag. So we'll say both of them apply to all kinds of people. Then we'll say ultimately again that ushneim nenu ba'aver shebiyadam, both benefit from the violation. Zenem min hektish. I'm just reading Rashi. V'zeh kafar mamon. One went ahead and benefited from hektish, and one benefited because he denied a monetary obligation. La fuki idus shoner. Both says both shuas idus, or one doesn't benefit. Bikavua. Ultimately, again, both are chayv a carbon kavua, as opposed to a shuas idus, which is chayv a carbon olav yored. Chomesh. Both are subject to a chomesh obligation. Va'asham. Ultimately, again, both are subject to an asham, as opposed to idus, which is a chatos. Adrabah. So we'll say those are all the similarities between the two. Adrabah, because he's just the opposite. Me'edus havele le'melav. I can learn out shuas havikatan from edus. How so? Shekein chata. Because we'll say ultimately again rachit. There's exer shav of techata. Number two, hedyot. Both apply ultimately again to regular property, as opposed to me'ila, which applies to only to hegdish. Bishvua. All of them have an obligation, or both unfold with a shvua. Tavei v'kafrei, they both have a claim and a denial of that claim. Owen, always comes back to Owen. Both have O's. So both say, to which the Gemara says, you're right, Bahanach nefushin. Ultimately, again, the first side has more comparisons than the second. Elamai chuka. So we'll say, so why were they making fun of Eretz Yisrael? Ki asra papa Rav Huna bar Yeshua mibei Rav Amri Hainu chuka. Michte Reb Shimon Gzeir Shava Gamir Reb Shimon learns that from Gzeir Shava Lamele de Parich. Why can't he ask? Why doesn't he ask on the Gzeir Shava? Male Pikadon Shekein Lo Asaba Mushba Kinishba Meizid Kishogeg. When it comes to Pikadon, so Pikadon Rabbi says differences. How so? Number one, we don't make Mushba Kinishba, and Meiz is not like Shogeg. Umay Chuka, Rabbi saying ultimately again. So what are they mocking? Dilma. Ki parich mikamei the take home like Gzeir Shava. Maybe ultimately again the question was only raised before the Gzeir Shava was established. Basar the kamal like Gzeir Shava la parich. Once the Gzeir Shava is made, maybe all the questions fall by the wayside. Below, Gemara says that's true. Amar lu Rava bar Isi the Rabbanon man tchana shvuas hapikadon lo nitan zedon lekapara. Who is the one who says Rabbi say that shvuas hapikadon? If you intentionally violate it, there's no kapara. Shimini. Dilma Mezid Kishogig Parach. So we'll say maybe they're really asking ultimately on the case of Mezid Kishogig. The Gamarle Me'ila. Ultimately, again, you can learn that from Me'ila. The Hanach Nefishin. Because we learn that from Me'ila, because ultimately Me'ila shares more comparisons, as we saw before. Aval Mushba Kinishba Lo Parach. But he does not raise the kasha ultimately again of Mushba Kinishba. Vite Hadr Eidos. Vite Gamarle Me Pikadon. But I will say, why not go back and learn that Eidos ultimately from Pikadon? Meizid Delav Kishogeg, Ma Pikadon Shogeg in Meizid Lo, just like I will say when it comes to Shas HaPikadon, you're only chayiv for Shogeg, but not chayiv for Meizid. In other words, that if you intentionally take a false Shas HaPikadon, you're not chayiv a carbon. Af Eidos, so too I said the same thing about Shas HaEidos, Shogeg in Meizid Lo, maybe you're only chayiv ultimately, again, I will say if what? If you take it b'shogeg, or if you take that shor b'shogeg, but not by Meizid, same way that we learn out pikadon me'ila. Both say top of lamed hey la'achi kasar achmana le'idus gabe shvas bitoy. Both say this is why the Torah purposely places shvas ha'idus next to shvas bitoy. The gabe tumas mikdash v'kadashav, and also right by the section ultimately again of tumas mikdash v'kadashav. Why? Tibekulon ne'mar bahen v'ne'elam, because also all of these cases shvas bitoy. Tumas Mikdash Vekadashav tells you, uses the word Venelam. Rabbi say Venelam teaches me that I'm only chayiv for Shogeg, yet Vikan lo ne'emar bahen ne'elam. Yet Rabbi say by Shevuos Ha'idus, the Torah purposely does not use the word Venelam. Why? Lechayiv ala meizid kishogeg. To ultimately teach you what Rabbi say, when it comes to Shevuos Ha'idus, you are chayiv ultimately again for both Mezid and Shogeg, whether you violate the Shevuos Ha'idus intentionally, unintentionally, b'chayiv v'karan. Rabbi say, what is the takeaway from this entire sugya? Well, so the takeaway, first of all, is that number one, by Shevuos Ha'idus, which is quite unique, you will be chayiv for both Mezid and Shogeg. Your Shabbos is very unique here. That if a person, remember, if Eidim intentionally go ahead and take a false Shevuos Ha'idus, so I go over to Eidim and I say, you know testimony on my behalf regarding matter A, and they say, no, we don't, and it turns out that they're lying, whether they accidentally lied because they thought they didn't have Eidos, or they intentionally lied, they will be chayiv a karban for having taken a false Shevuos Eidus. And Rabosai, number 2, which was the point of this entire blot of Gemara, was what, Rabosai? Number 2 was that Allah Chalamais, when it comes to Shevuos Eidus, you are only chayiv for what? For Tfias Mamon. Only if there is a monetary claim. Only if I'm asking them to testify regarding a monetary claim, that's the only chayiv. And Rabosai, number 3, which is ultimately not really related to this sugya, but just brought in kind of tangentially, we do not paskin like Rav Acha, and therefore again, one cannot indict based on circumstantial evidence. That is true ultimately again in Dinei Mamanis, and certainly true in Dinei Nefashas as well. We'll stop over here. I want to take something very exciting. There is some agarata tomorrow. There is some beautiful tomorrow. It's a beautiful sugya. There's a little bit of agarata. We'll pick up at the Mishnah Lamed Hey tomorrow. We'll say shkoyach.